Hi guys, my name is Chris. I am a DJ and producer from Brighton. I go by the name of Tengu and/or Bunka. And today I'm going to be going through one of my Bunka projects for the Garage Shared Advent Calendar series. So this track is called Guitar Lords. It recently came out on a mix album called Rated 2, mixed by Bitrate on the Garage Shared label, which you can stream now, and I'm sure it's coming out as a single very, very soon. So just a little bit of backstory before I go into this tune. I predominantly, as I said, make bass line and drum and bass. However, this year I really fell in love with that garage sound, and I just wanted to learn more about it. I wanted to learn more about the different production techniques, the use of different samples, the history of it, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun. However, none of the sounds really fit the Tengu brand and sound, so yeah, I wanted to get them out, so I started making them under Bunka. So here's a little reminder of what the track sounds like, and before I press play, I just want to apologise that I do have to use my Xbox headset as my microphone broke on me recently. So here we go. Heater, banger, love it. So, I'm going to be breaking these tutorials down in 3 parts. So the first part, I'm going to break down the drums that I chose, the samples I chose, the drum patterns that I chose to use. Second part, I will go more into the sound design, and the third part, I'll go into the effects and mix down of the track. So yeah, let's kickstart with the drums. So if I solo my drum group, these are the drums that this is the drum pattern that I chose to use. Now, I'm a really big fan of drums progressing as the track goes along. I feel like it can really add variation to your tune, even if the melody's not changing. So here, I just added some more hats as it progresses through. And I actually did choose to use a couple of different drum patterns through the track. So here we've got like a 2-steppy offbeat snare pattern. And then here it goes into that classic 90s ghost snare styled 2-step. And then for the second drop, I went into a 4x4 dance floor hard hitting pattern. So now I'm going to go into the drum samples that I chose. So researching into Garage, I found that quite a lot of the snares in Garage they're quite real, they're quite wooden, and then it sounds like an actual drummer is playing them. So I went through Splice, I went through the sample packs I already had to try and find these sort of samples, and this is the vibe I got. So there's 3 snares layered here. The main one, which is the heart of the snare, is a very tight, hard-hitting garage snare, which I then layered with, ironically, a drum and bass snare, or should I be more specific, a drum and bass ghost snare, and then I layered that with another drum and bass snare, which I've processed to not sound so harsh. I've cut it down, rebounced it, so it sounds more relevant to the track. So that's the snare. I'm going to go into the kick now. So like the snare, I've found that with garage drums they're quite punchy, they sound quite real. So I looked into what samples I had and on Splice, and I found that these Mr. V kicks really did do the job. So the top one here is more of a punchy kick, and the bottom one here is a bit of a click to really bring the punch out from both kicks. And finally, with the hats, I found again that with Garage, they're quite real. As it's a 90s sort of genre, like everything was still being actually recorded rather than made on synthesizers. So these are just a couple of closed hats that I found. and they progress by having some more open hats. So the main thing with garage drums that I found are not every single track has their hats hitting exactly on the offbeat. So I put them very, very, very slightly before the offbeat to give it a natural swing, and this is one of the main elements of garage that really stands out as a genre, is having swung sort of hats. So that was the main body of drums for my track. However, I did feel like it needed a lot more. It needed something at least to make it sound a bit more groovy, a bit more shuffly. So yeah, I listened to a lot of garage music and I came to the conclusion that every single tune has that offbeat ghost style sort of snare which sounds like this. And as you can hear, that actually really does beef up the tune, makes it sound more groovy, more danceable, more melodic. And all it is a simple snare, not following the exact timing of the beat. So I'm going to go into specifically why I chose this sample. So I'm a big fan of not using a sample exactly how it sounds. So what I did is I found this sample, which originally sounded like this, 8 semitones down. But with the other drums, it doesn't sound very good. It sounded too muddy. It sounded it sounded too heavy, to be honest. So what I did is simply popped it up by 8 semitones. 8 semitones wasn't a preference. It was just as I was pitching it up, it started to sound better and better as it was higher, and 8 semitones is where I found the sweet spot. And then afterwards, just position them in the track to where I wanted to make it sound groovy. And this is what it sounds like with the whole track. So I really wanted those ghost snares to really complement the melody, the guitar, the sub, everything around it. So yeah, that was part one. That was the drums of Guitar Lord. Part two, I'm going to go through the bass sounds, the sub, all the sound design in general. Thanks very much, guys.